Good morning. My name is Kevin Yarbrough, and today we're going to have our second progress report for our plastic detection system in a third eye module feeder. I'm joined by Reed Mochick, Daniel Brown, and Wayne Johnson on Zoom. What this progress report is going to go over, we're going to cover a flow analysis of the system and what all is going to go into it. We're going to have some potential solutions that we've come up with, a decision matrix, to sort of grade and rank them. And at the very end, we're going to kind of go over what the decision matrix told us. So without further ado, I yield the floor to Reed.
Yes, I'm Reed Mochick. I was going to go over the flow analysis and just kind of an overview of our project as a whole. First, cotton bales and modules will be taken out of the field with module trucks or trailers. Obviously, modules, the whole cotton module is bigger than the bales, but if you stack 4 bales in a row, it's kind of equal to an actual cotton module. So the module truck can come and pick them up and bring them to the gins yard. So one worker will be assigned to load the cotton bales or modules onto the walking floor system or to the stover unwrapping system. Some gins have transferred over to the stover or a system kind of similar to that. But so a forklift or Skytrack will load the stover system, and you can see it's kind of on a platform. So the bale will go on the stover system. It's got a walking floor that slowly brings the bale into the system. It will cut the plastic wrap, and one person will be assigned to take the plastic wrap off of the bale. And the stover actually requires no operator, so it's one person that can run that thing the whole time. And then after it passes through the stover system, it continues on the walking floor towards the module feeder. We'll go to the next one. See, there's the module feeder there. Modules, the whole modules, not the bales themselves, will also be on the walking floor system towards the module feeder. They can actually butt up against each other, the modules and the bales, going at the same time. When the modules are coming onto the walking floor system, it can either be a walking floor system or some type of conveyor, rollers. So as the module truck is dumping off the module, the big modules as a whole, the 13, 14 bale modules, 2 or 3 people will be assigned on each side of the module truck as it's sliding down onto the walking floor system, taking off the module tarp that was placed on in the field. So cotton bales and modules will enter the module feeder. The cotton will be processed there. This is where our project is unique to inside of the module feeder. You can see the spindles, that for plastic is wrapped around. That's where our cameras and stuff will take place. So the cotton will be processed through there and into the hopper at the bottom of the module feeder. Now I'll pass it off to Daniel.
Howdy y'all, I'll be going over our potential solutions that we've kind of come up with over the last several weeks today. So first things first, we've initially analyzed several different options ranging from just simply adding cameras based on the solutions that have been used in the past to detecting color differences in the system between the plastic and the cotton itself. Ultimately, we've kind of decided that just adding cameras is going to be the most viable, given that a lot of the other options that we looked into are more experimental, meaning in our opinion they'll be more expensive and we don't know for sure that they would work. Camera has been used in the past, as I said, but the difference here is since it's a different module feeder, we'll have to make some adjustments to that solution. So we've been coordinating with the biological agricultural engineering team to find our solution, and ultimately we haven't found exactly what we're going to end up doing, but we've narrowed it down to 4 camera options and 2 light options. The camera options are as follows: the Hua N42 BD32, and that goes for $134.90 on Amazon. The Amcrest IP8M, which goes for $95 on Amazon. The Anki C800, which goes for $100 on Amazon, and then the SV3C OnVIF, which is also $95. And then as far as our light options, we're currently looking at a 20-inch, 126-watt light, which goes for $40, or a G4, the 6-inch single row LED, which is $100. So obviously, when we make the final decision, the price will be a factor, as well as durability of the system and frame rates and all that kind of information. So this is one of our potential camera options, the Yankee C800, just so that y'all get kind of a visual of the size, which I know it's kind of hard to tell since there's not much compared to, but and then this is the Hua option, and then we have our LED light bar. And then I will pass it over to Wayne, and he will go over the decision analysis.
Good morning. Again, my name is Wayne Johnson. I'll be going over the decision analysis. So the analysis is going to be a comparison of each of 4 potential solutions based on 4 decision criteria. I know that Daniel just presented a potential solutions section, but what we determined based on our use of light and camera system is, like he said, it's more of a question of how many of cameras and lights to use and where we're going to be able to place them inside the feeder. So all of these potential solutions are going to just be a camera, a light system, and something to protect the camera. And it's just going to be different configurations of where those cameras are placed and what protection system we use. I just want to let you know before I get that far down in the presentation. The 4 decision criteria are based on the project objective. So obviously our main goal is to be able to detect plastic contamination in the feed. And the weight of those criteria is going to be based on the client specifications that either came from the original Zoom meeting that we had with Mr. Green and Mr. Holt, the white paper that we were given by them, the TCGA PowerPoint presentation that was provided whenever these projects were presented to students as well as the teaching team, as also anything else that we learned from our advisor meeting with Dr. Horton. So those potential configurations are basically different amalgamations of a camera in the front, a camera in the rear, or 2 cameras in the front and 1 camera in the rear, and either protected by a polycarbonate shield. I know it says polycarbonate because that's just a more general term, but this is specifically going to be an optical grade Lexan based on what we talked to Dr. Harden about. And then where it says pressurized air to clear debris using the air knife system, comes from that original article that we presented in our literature review in the last progress report. This is this system that's already in place in other types of module feeders. So again, with the concept of us not wanting to reinvent the wheel, there's been research already done on and some effectiveness shown on those solutions. We want to be able to continue those as best we can and just be able to fit them into the third on module feeder if possible. So this is an illustration of the configurations. It's pretty general. My intention today was to be there and to be able to highlight with the mouse what I mean, but we'll be able to do that as best we can while I'm speaking via Zoom. I just wanted to make sure everyone understood that whenever we talk about a camera being at the rear, it would be where those cameras are toward the back on that second row of cleaning cylinders, where in that diagram that you all see. And whenever we're talking about cameras that would be at the front, we're talking about cameras that will be on the other side near those red main dispersing cylinders. This also goes a little bit into where we're needing a little bit more information, especially in our collaboration with the Bain team. We're trying to get a hold of, they are, as well as us working with them, trying to get a hold of some schematics or blueprints of what the third down module feeder looks like on the inside so that we know how much space we have to work with as far as where we can put those cameras at. So the decision criteria, the 4 of them that we used in our decision matrix are going to be the ability to detect plastic contamination. Of course, this is the objective of the project, and it has the heaviest weight in our decision matrix. Cost, in the specifications that we received from the client originally, we were made known to us that a cheaper solution, it would be the most likely to be implemented into the gen and into the module feeder. And of course, we want to be able to do this work to provide something that actually will be useful to the client. Uh, Ease of implementation. So the ideal solution will not drastically interfere with the current processes that are in place. Basically, we have a gen crew that's already comfortable with the system that they do currently, and we want to not intervene in that as much as possible. This also can save time, and of course, time saves money. So we don't want to get in the way of what already has to happen as much as we can. And we can explain that further if there are any questions about it. Also, the ideal solution would build on the existing detection system again, and this is a system that's present in other module feeders other than the third line. Again, we just want to, if possible, modify those in the necessary way so that we can use something that's already familiar to the gen crew. Lastly, reliability. We want to have produced a system that is able to resist damage and also has low maintenance and repair time and costs. And of course, those are related to ease of implementation and cost. We're having to continually replace equipment, continually replace cameras that cost money. Doing those operations take time, and as well as the implementation, it takes more time to redo the system again if you're having to consistently repair it. So this is our decision matrix. This comes directly from the report that we submitted to the teaching team. I just want to make a note that higher number, of course, means that it's more effective. So the one where this can be kind of ambiguous is for cost. So a higher number in cost means that it costs less. It's more optimal in terms of cost. So you can see here that the option with one camera in the front and one camera in the back, and using that optical grade Lexan to protect those camera lenses actually weights the least. The reason why this happens is because it costs money and time, and you still have to do the same amount of implementation to cover each of those camera lenses with the plastic shield, but using only one camera in the front limits how much your ability to detect the contamination. So you see that those first two systems both get a 7 because they both have cameras only in the front. And that's given that the third line has that main cleaning cylinder, the red ones, if you remember from the image. So those are going to be the ones that most of the contamination is going to be at, especially at the bottom. So we would like to concentrate our viewing ability toward the front of those, toward those front cylinders if we can. So only having one camera in the front decreases our ability to detect contamination. Cost included in the cost are the cost of those cameras, the cost of those lights, as well as the cost of the air knife system or the polycarbonate shield. We make the assumption that there's compressed air available in the facility already, especially considering that the air knife system has been in use before, so that should decrease the cost of being able to use that. You see that the system with two cameras in the front and one camera in the back and using polycarbonate shield has the lowest score on cost, because that's us having to purchase 3 cameras, lights, and then plastic protection for each of those 3 cameras. So it includes the most components that need to be purchased. But overall, those, excluding the first one, those 3 solutions weight very closely, and Caleb is in his selection analysis slides are going to explain how we navigate that a little bit more.
All right, thank you, Wayne. Just want to kind of do a little overview of what we determined from our decision matrix. The most effective option was option 2, one camera in the front and one camera in the back with the air knife, and its respective score was 790. It's something that's already in use for a lot of other conventional module feeders. And obviously, it's going to depend on the blueprints and the schematics when we can get them from the painting team. Options 2, 3, and 4 are very closely 790, 795, and 775 respectively. So they're still very viable options. It's going to be something that we consider as we move into the economic analysis section of this project. In order to kind of make it the project a little simpler going forward, we decided to eliminate option 1, one camera in front and back with the Lexan protection. And the reason for this is while it did have a good score in the cost category, it's sort of the middle of the road, mediocre performance, and the ability to detect plastic reliability and ease of implementation sort of narrowed its score down to the bottom of the pack. So we decided to eliminate that from further consideration. And just a little caveat, this is not a finalized solution, which is at this point in the project with the information we have available, it has been what we found to be most promising as we move into the next section for economic analysis. We've been in contact and talks with Dr. Harden. We're still trying to finalize a mounting solution for our potential solution. This is what was from the white paper co-authored by Dr. Holt, and we've kind of been reading over it, and it seems to be the most promising to this point, though we are still looking into other options, maybe some sort of reciprocating mount. But this is the simplest, most practical option we have as of right now. It's already in use, and it works with the sort of cameras that we're going to be working with going forward. Just kind of wrap this up. Some of our objectives before our next project report, we're going to continue collaborating with the Bain team, and hopefully we can get those schematics and blueprints so we can get a real idea of what kind of space and how the configuration is going to work. We're going to have our second team advising meeting with Dr. Harden. We're going to finalize our mounting solution. And as we kind of gather financial data and complete the economic analysis, we're going to sort of finalize one solution to propose to the client. And with that, I'm going to open it up for any questions from the client.
Oh, don't unshare your screen. I'd like to go back to the I'd like to go back to the decision matrix again. All right. So on the cost, I guess I will kind of editorialize a little. When we say cost is important, like if you had a $100 camera, $1,000 camera, and a $10,000 camera, you could get some significant weighting. But if you're dealing with a $90 to $140 range, we would kind of consider that all the same price. If that's the kind of range we're looking at, I would really rethink your cost, because we're looking for factors of 10, not smaller numbers like that. I mean, and I don't know about I guess, is the plastic lens significantly more expensive than the air knife?
So I'm not actually sure yet. I would assume so, just based on that need of it being optical grade. It probably isn't extremely expensive, like you're saying. It could be similar to the price of those cameras based on how much of it that we need in order to cover the lens. But in terms of cost, I was comparing that in relation to the air knife, because that's just compressed air coming out of a hose that's going to clear the lens. So that should be immensely cheaper than purchasing sheets of that optical grade Lexan.
Well, it's important to remember with compressed air, while there is compressed air in the gen, and it may just be the cost of some hose to get it there. There is maintenance. There is, on your compressor, you're using more air depending on how much you need. So there's an energy cost. It's not. It may seem free, but it's not.
Well, and
Yes.
and again, if we're looking at if the difference is hundreds,
Right.
I don't think I would weight that very heavy, because the amount of money we're saving by detecting the plastic will eclipse hundreds really
Yeah.
fast. And I guess, have you guys thought about, like, could if option one's kind of fallen off the table, I'm wondering about, I guess, 2 front cameras gives me an awful lot of comfort over one because of the double cylinders, and I'm wondering if 2 front cameras, looking at that with the air knife and the plastic lens might be worth some thought. I would think reliability with 2 front cameras, your reliability, and you've weighted it, but I would think it would be significantly better. Just you know, just a thought. And I'm glad one of my questions was going to be, have you thought about how you're going to mount those cameras? But you answered that. That's all I've got. You guys have covered this thoroughly.
Good. Dr. Harden, you got any comments?
No, I think that was Mr. Green's points were excellent, and I agree with that. So I think they've got some things to think about and consider there. So
Okay, good. Appreciate you being here today. Let's have Team 1 make a few questions or comments.
I thought the flow analysis was particularly good. It was kind of what I was wishing I could have done with mine. But no, I thought the entire presentation was great. The information was solid. It followed a very understandable order. So just overall, I thought it was a really good job.
Thank you.
I think one comment I'd just, for me personally, when y'all the slide where y'all kind of discussed, potential camera options and light options, just the reading off of all the numbers, I kind of got lost trying to follow whatever, all the numbers and model numbers and different things y'all were saying. So maybe just the brand or, something like that. Was just me personally. I don't know if anybody else had that, but, I didn't really, none of those numbers really meant anything to me. Maybe, talking the brand and features or, what this camera has that this one doesn't, different things like that. But that was just for me personally.
That's a good comment, Dylan. Thanks. I didn't. I agree with that. I didn't think about that during the presentation. So, Daniel, what could you do a little differently on this slide to improve the communication content of it?
So looking back, I guess what I could do is, which I agree with y'all, I hadn't thought about, reading off the numbers like that how it all sounds the same after, a couple of them. I could just say the brand name, maybe go into, the quality of camera based on reviews. Obviously still say the price, but maybe include that on the side also so that people can see it, so me just reading it off. But yeah, definitely future reference, I'll just read off the model number.
Yeah, this is a great discussion, and I'd love to repeat this in class sometime because you have some awesome detailed technical information. The challenge is, and really the objective of this class is, to learn how to communicate that effectively. And obviously, just putting brand names and model numbers doesn't quite do that.
Yes.
So, I might suggest I break this slide up into maybe at least 2 slides, one about the different cameras, and you might actually have a picture of each camera on that slide. So you got 4 cameras with their model number and maybe a couple of bullets underneath each one. That might get a little busy, but you try that.
Yes.
And then another slide about the light options to talk about that as well. So, Dylan, I appreciate you bringing that up. Go ahead.
I'll tell you how I processed that slide. All I heard was a brand and a dollar amount.
Yeah.
And then I don't mind the model numbers because if I wanted to go back later, assuming I get a copy of this presentation, I can go back and look at that. But really all I wanted to hear was how much they cost and which ones you picked. And I know nothing about quality, so you guys just tell me that one's about as good as that one, and that's all I need to hear.
Yeah, that's a great discussion. Okay, let's move on to instructor comments. I appreciate it, Team 1. Good job. Y'all can have a seat. This presentation was 17 minutes long. Wayne Johnson with a whopping 8 minutes. Wow. Hey Wayne, good job. You really you had some great information there. I actually counted off a couple of points because I think you went just a little bit long. I think you need to economize that a little bit and give poor Daniel and Reed a little more stage time, But I'm kind of teasing. But not a big deal. Your organization and timing was good. Your teamwork was good. I can tell this team is working pretty well together. I thought the flow analysis slides were beautifully done, but they were a little confusing because one employee here, one employee here. I didn't quite follow that, but obviously, and I didn't think that the employee was the key aspect of the flow analysis. What I was looking for with this project, if you're trying to detect plastic in rapidly moving cotton, then maybe some rates. How fast are those things spinning? What capacity is how many bales an hour are going through? Of course, that's going to vary from gin to gin. And then maybe an analysis of the different types of plastic that you're challenged with detecting. There's a lot of data, a lot have been written on the types of plastic and the colors and all that. So that was something that you may want to focus on a little bit more. Otherwise, not a big deal. Your potential solutions, you know, you had a lot going on there, and obviously you're working with another team. The different cameras that you talked about. Let's see if I can get to that. That was good. So yeah, you throw that. Now here, it's like you went through this kind of fast. So that's a camera. That's a camera. That's a light. So I was like, I was a little bit confused on jumping from cameras to lights. It could have been contrasted a little bit better. And then, you know, talking about their price on Amazon, I would qualify that with, we realize that we're not going to build this ordering stuff from Amazon, but this gives us an idea of the basic price. And I like Mr. Green's comment about, you know, all those prices are in the same range, so it's really kind of a wash. Your diagram here, let me flip to that one. Yeah, I think this could have been better displayed as a table. The text got a little arduous there. Great diagram. I appreciate you acknowledging where you got it from. Some arrows would have been good. Obviously, Wayne, even if you were here, having an arrow, you know, showing which way the cotton is flowing would have been helpful for those of us who don't live in a cotton gin. Anyway, good explanation of the criteria, the decision matrix. Even when you talk about the cost, about how high number means low cost. That's a good thing there too. So good presentation.
Yes, I agree with everything. So I'm going to repeat just a little. I really enjoyed the description. I could understand what you're going to do, which is sometimes hard to explain in a short time. So every one of you did a great job explaining. Read in your flow analysis was very good explanation of the problem. Maybe you could have come here and used the pointer, and we forget about that. And that diagram was great. You know, I was writing down diagram, and then the diagram is shown and explain everything. So I think you answered all my comments as you kept going. So that's good. You were very aware of the audience in face-to-face, and Wayne, you did a great job making sure that we follow the presentation. So that was nice. And I like that you collaborate very well with the BAN team. And I understand that you are kind of waiting on their drawings to make better decisions. So very good job. I really enjoyed this presentation.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? All right, I'll just remind you that, yeah, I appreciate your flexibility in rescheduling this presentation. It was originally supposed to be right after the big snowstorm, so thanks for being flexible, everybody. So we'll see y'all on the 23rd, but we also have an all-class meeting on, I believe, the 16th. So we'll send out a reminder for that. So next week on Tuesday, the class will meet together over in the AGLS building, where you can zoom in if you can't make it over there. We're going to discuss these these first two progress reports, and just kind of take lessons learned from that to go forward to the next ones. Okay. We got just a couple of minutes. What I like to do, I didn't have time last time. This is your second presentation, so you were charged with actually reviewing your first presentation and improving. You know, you're supposed to give yourself a self-critique. So I want to ask you, I'm going to start with Wayne, since you did such a good job today. What did you what did you notice on your first presentation that you wanted to improve this time? And I'm going to ask everybody this question. Go ahead, Wayne.
I noticed this myself, and you also brought it up after I spoke, as I had my hands in my pocket. I had been working on not doing that. Of course, it didn't really make a difference today because I'm not even standing. I'm sitting in front of the desk. Uh, Also, when I listen to it, I could just be nitpicky about my own voice, but I feel like my voice didn't sound very clear. So I wanted to I was trying to drink water, stay hydrated so that I could not have to clear my throat the whole time that I was speaking. And that's why I chose to speak with like this headset instead of speaking directly into the computer, just hoping that it would give better sound quality. I wanted to include pictures because I know that in my first presentation I had a lot of technical information and I had no pictures, no diagrams to explain what I was talking about. So trying to include pictures, make sure everyone could follow along, and trying to decrease acronyms that I used while I was speaking to make sure everyone was following what I was saying.
Well, good job. And your voice, you have a very good presentation voice. I could listen to your voice all day. You may want to consider a career in radio or something, okay? Good job. Let's go up to Doug Dindy. Doug, good job today. Tell us what you noticed on your first presentation that you wanted to improve on this time.
So on my self-critique, I was saying that I really wanted to improve my body language and my use of filler words, words like stuff like that. I noticed whenever I was going back over my first presentation, I was sitting in this chair that kind of swivels around. So I was watching and kind of noticing myself kind of turning like this while I was talking, and I would start talking pretty fast and using filler words just to kind of fill in the gaps when I couldn't remember what it was I was supposed to say right that second. But I feel like I did a better job this time of kind of staying just more central, pointed straight at the camera, and I felt like I used much less filler words. So.
All right, good. All right, let me ask you a couple of you guys. Daniel, you come up and tell us what you wanted to improve over last time.
I guess the big things that I wanted to improve on was just, sounding a little bit more confident when I was speaking. Realizing that we've done research on this, and while somebody might say we're wrong, we have put effort in, I guess. And then the other thing was remembering, I guess, what I wanted to say. Because I know when I went back to look over the video, I remember things that I was planning to say, but I was going through the slides and they just slipped my mind. But those were really the two big things for me as I recall.
All right, good. Pete, why don't you hop up there? I want to hear what you wanted to improve this time over last time.
Yes, sir. I wanted to improve on being more clear, I guess, describing information, going in depth. So that's kind of what I focused on.
Okay. Well, we're about out of time. Does anybody else want to contribute? What was a big learning point for you when you saw your presentation, and then I'm going to do better next time? What did you?
Slow down. I just rifle through it like so quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Don't be in such a hurry. Good job.
Yeah, I think
okay. Go ahead, Dylan.
My voice in the first presentation I felt was pretty shaky the whole time, and I think ultimately in this presentation you made a comment about me being talking kind of monotone and really fast, and I think I kind of overcompensated for not wanting to sound shaky. So I think definitely improve on that monotone kind of really fast speech during this presentation, hopefully in the third presentation.
Okay, great. That's a fantastic observation. The whole purpose of this class is for you to work out any difficulties or challenges you may have in oral presentations, so that once you get hired and you're getting paid a lot of money and you have to make a presentation, you won't be making these beginner mistakes. You will already work them out in this class. So actually, when we get feedback from former students, they talk about how helpful this class, and particularly this phase of it, is, because not everybody gets a chance to stand up in front of people a lot. And so we're forcing y'all to do that. Some of you may never do that much. Some of you may end up in your extracurricular activities. You might be the head of your local school board or something, and you're going to be dealing with people. So no matter what you end up doing, you're going to have an opportunity to stand in front of people and express yourself and communicate. So this whole class is to give you practice at doing that, to work out the bugs. And you have helpful people like me and Dr. Castell to gently guide you in that direction. Okay,